Have you ever wondered why being good hurts so much? Why every act of kindness seems to demand a quiet payment from your soul? People say goodness is its own reward. They say virtue brings peace, that doing the right thing leads to light. But that's a lie whispered to keep the gentle in line. I've seen what goodness costs, and it's far from peaceful. It bleeds you slowly, one compromise at a time. You start with a clean heart. You believe helping others will help you too. You hold doors open, you forgive, you stay patient, and you think that somehow the universe is keeping score. But the universe doesn't care. It's cold, indifferent, and it watches without judgment. And that's the first truth Machiavelli saw clearly. Morality is a human invention, not a natural law. Nature rewards survival, not virtue. Wolves aren't punished for eating lambs. Lions don't lose sleep over deer. The strong take, the weak rationalize. Only man invented guilt to make weakness look holy. And still we cling to goodness like it's armor, when in truth it's often a leash. Society loves good people because they're predictable. You can trust them to obey, to doubt themselves, to apologize first. The good man will work longer, accept less, smile politely while the cunning take more. The good woman will forgive betrayal, believing that forgiveness itself is noble. It's a beautiful illusion, one that keeps the machine turning. Because when goodness becomes obedience, power smiles. Machiavelli understood that power and goodness rarely coexist. A ruler who wants to remain purely goodwill, he wrote, come to ruin among so many who are not good. To survive, you must learn to do evil when necessity demands it. That line, simple and terrifying, is the beginning of adulthood. The moment you realize that purity can't protect you, you start to see how the world rewards masks, not hearts. And that realization hurts, because it breaks the story you were raised on. Most people never recover from that moment. They retreat. They say, I'll stay kind anyway. They build moral fortresses to feel safe, to convince themselves that suffering in silence is grace. But they don't see the second truth. Those fortresses become prisons. The more you cling to goodness, the easier you are to control. The world knows this. It offers praise as a chain. You're such a good person, they tell you, and you smile, unaware that they've just told you how to behave forever. Goodness, when unguarded, becomes self-sabotage. You sacrifice boundaries for approval, honesty for harmony, potential for peace. You say yes when you mean no. You stay when you should leave. You forgive when you should remember. And the world calls that maturity. But Machiavelli would call it blindness. Because goodness without power isn't virtue, it's submission dressed in white. Still, let's not pretend the alternative is simple. Power corrupts easily. Once you stop being purely good, you risk becoming what you once despised. That's the real tragedy. Not innocence lost, but innocence replaced by cynicism. You see too much, you understand too well, and suddenly compassion feels like weakness. You start to enjoy control, to test how far you can bend others. And if you're not careful, you become the very predator you swore to resist. So what's the answer? Machiavelli would whisper balance. He admired the lion for its strength and the fox for its cunning. To survive, you must be both. Gentle enough to sense when mercy works, ruthless enough to strike when it doesn't. True goodness, he might say, is knowing when to stop being good. Because sometimes kindness must end before justice can begin, but most people can't do that. They live in denial. They pretend the world is fair so they can keep believing they're safe. They tell themselves that being good guarantees goodness in return. But reality isn't reciprocal. The world doesn't return favors, it tests you. It sends liars disguised as lovers, friends who use you, bosses who exploit your patience. And when you finally break, When you finally learn to say no, they'll call you changed, as if change were a crime. The truth is, the world doesn't punish goodness, it exploits it. That's the shocking cost. Every time you choose to forgive, someone learns they can hurt you again. Every time you choose honesty, someone less honest gains an advantage. Every time you choose peace, someone more aggressive wins. It doesn't mean you should become cruel. It means you must become awake, because unguarded goodness is a kind of sleepwalking, and the wolves never sleep, and yet there's something beautiful about those who remain kind even after they see the truth. They are rare because they are deliberate. Their goodness isn't naivety anymore, it's rebellion. They know the cost and they pay it anyway. They walk through fire and still offer warmth. That kind of goodness doesn't come from ignorance. It comes from strength. So it's no longer softness, it's choice. That's where real virtue lives, not in being pure, but in being powerful enough to choose purity, to be capable of harm and yet decide against it. That's what Machiavelli meant when he said a ruler must learn how not to be good, not to abandon morality, but to own it, to act morally because he chooses to, not because he must. And maybe that's the hidden truth, that goodness means nothing until you could choose its opposite. You can't call yourself kind if you've never been tempted by cruelty. You can't call yourself honest if lying never benefited you. You can't call yourself faithful until betrayal was easier. Without temptation, goodness is a performance. Only when the cost appears, when the darkness whispers your name, does your virtue become real. And here's the cruel part. The world tests your goodness in ways you never expect. It's not always the big betrayals, the dramatic knife in the back. Often it's the subtle ones. The colleague who takes credit for your work. The friend who only calls when they need something. The society that praises your patience while quietly punishing your ambition. Every small compromise chips away at your soul, and you don't even notice until the reflection in the mirror feels unfamiliar. Machiavelli would say these are the real wars. Not against armies, but against the invisible currents of human desire and deception. Every act of goodness is a choice, yes, but each choice comes with a silent ledger, and the world keeps meticulous accounts. Most people refuse to look at that ledger. They pretend they are living in fairness, in a moral universe. They think integrity is protection, but integrity is powerless without strategy. You can have the purest heart, the most generous hands, the clearest conscience, and still be eaten alive by those who understand the rules of leverage, influence, and survival. Goodness left undefended is a vulnerability. The cost manifests quietly at first, in lost opportunities, in unnoticed betrayals, in subtle humiliation, and slowly, inexorably it compounds. One day you wake up and realize you've been paying for your virtue with every ounce of freedom you ever had. And yet there is a paradox, isn't there? Because we want to be good. We crave it. Even knowing the cost, we chase it like moths to a flame. We want to believe that if we are kind, if we are honest, if we are faithful, the world will bend to reward us. But the world doesn't bend. It demands. And sometimes the flame burns us, not others. Machiavelli understood this. He didn't despise goodness, he simply dissected it. He revealed its price, its fragility, its hidden ledger. And that revelation is horrifying to anyone who still believes virtue is free. The shocking truth is that goodness isn't free. Every act of morality has a cost, whether you see it or not. Every time you spare someone, every time you forgive, every time you sacrifice yourself for what is right, you are investing in a principle that may never repay you. And when the world is at your door with knives hidden beneath polite smiles, you will see exactly how expensive goodness can be. It takes time, energy, patience, and sometimes even your very safety. Most people never realize this until they are already in debt, spiritually, emotionally, strategically. And this is why Machiavelli's words remain as chilling as they are essential. To navigate life, to survive it with both your soul and your freedom intact, you must recognize that goodness carries a price, and then you must decide whether to pay it willingly or strategically. That is the hidden truth. Virtue is not about being good. It is about choosing when to be good, how to protect it, and when to wield it as a tool rather than a weapon against yourself. Every decision, every act is a negotiation with the world, and the cost of each is written in invisible ink on the ledger of your life. And most people never negotiate. They surrender immediately. They allow others to define the price, to set the terms. They believe in fairness, in honor, in justice, ideals that sound beautiful, but have no currency in a world that runs on ambition, cunning, and force. When you are too good to defend yourself, others are too eager to exploit you, and slowly the sweetness of virtue turns bitter. Generosity is mistaken for weakness, honesty for gullibility, patience for passivity. And yet the good person pays on, blind to the accumulation. But here is where it becomes truly complicated. Because even knowing the cost, even seeing the invisible chains, some people persist. They continue to choose goodness, not because it is safe, not because it is rewarded, but because it is necessary. Necessary not for the world, but for themselves. There is a rare power in this, the power to remain human in a system designed to strip you bare. To persist with empathy even when empathy is punished. To act with integrity, even when integrity costs you. Machiavelli would have called it audacious. To be good in a world that punishes goodness is to wield a weapon few understand, a strength forged in the fires of hardship and awareness. And yet, the cost never disappears. Every day, a new calculation, a new test, a new temptation. Do you forgive again? Do you trust again? Do you act with honesty when deceit is easier? Each decision carries its price. Each act is a trade. The cost is relentless, cumulative, and often invisible until the weight becomes unbearable. And some pay it without complaint, some collapse and some transform. Those who transform are the ones who finally grasp the duality, that goodness must be tempered with strategy, that kindness must be protected by boundaries, that virtue must be exercised with awareness of its price. Only then does it cease to be a liability and becomes a power in its own right. And this is perhaps the cruelest irony of all. The very thing that demands sacrifice, goodness, is also what can define you. The very quality that exposes you to harm, that drains your energy, that isolates you in a world of pragmatists, can also elevate you above them. Because in knowing the cost, and in enduring it deliberately, you become conscious, awake, and untouchable in ways the naive never are. Machiavelli understood this intimately. The world doesn't reward innocence, but it respects mastery. And mastery of goodness is a discipline few possess, and so the cost of goodness is not simply suffering or loss. It is vigilance, it is awareness, it is the continuous weighing of each choice against an unforgiving world. It is the solitude of knowing that no one is keeping score in your favor, that no one is obliged to recognize your sacrifices, and that no one is obliged to reward your virtue. It is a silent, persistent debt that only you can pay, and only you can manage. Those who ignore it do so at their peril, often collapsing under the weight of their own principles before the world has even tried to crush them. And then comes the hardest part, watching others take what you give for granted. Watching those who choose ruthlessness and cunning reap rewards you never sought but deserved. Watching the selfish thrive, while your generosity is counted as weakness. It feels like a betrayal by the universe itself, and yet it is only human nature, relentless, indifferent, and profoundly honest in its indifference. Machiavelli understood this. He wrote of rulers, of courts, of conspiracies, but beneath it all he was speaking to the same eternal truth. The world doesn't reward goodness. It rewards effectiveness. And if you mistake goodness for protection, you will be exposed every single time. Most people fail to understand that goodness can be wielded strategically, deliberately, without surrendering one's own survival. The naive believe they must choose between virtue and safety, between morality and power. They do not see that the truly wise learn to act with intentional goodness, to protect themselves while giving, to understand when mercy serves strength and when it invites ruin. It is a subtle dance, and it is terrifying because it requires constant awareness, constant calculation, and constant courage. Few have the patience, the clarity, or the resilience to endure it. Most falter. Most pay the cost unknowingly, accumulating invisible debts that eventually crush them. And the cost is not always obvious. It is measured in small betrayals, subtle manipulations, and the slow erosion of boundaries. Every time someone exploits your patience, every time your trust is used against you, every time kindness is mistaken for weakness, that is a toll paid in silence, often unnoticed, until the sum becomes unbearable. You feel it not as a single catastrophic event, but as a creeping exhaustion, a quiet erosion of confidence, an invisible weight that makes every act of goodness feel heavier than the last. It is the hidden truth Machiavelli glimpsed. Virtue is not free. It is a currency, and the world does not distribute it evenly. And yet there is a haunting beauty in this revelation, because the cost of goodness, once understood, transforms into power. Once you realize what you are paying and why, you begin to choose your actions deliberately. You no longer give blindly. You give consciously. You no longer forgive automatically. You forgive with intention. You no longer protect your soul naively. You protect it strategically. Machiavelli would have recognized this as mastery. Not mastery over others, but mastery over yourself, over your impulses, over the ledger of debts that life imposes upon those who remain upright in a crooked world. The world will always test you. It will always seek to exploit your integrity. Friends, lovers, colleagues, strangers, all can be instruments of your lesson, instruments of your cost. And each test is a mirror. It shows you not only who they are, but who you are when confronted with temptation, when confronted with the pain of being taken advantage of. The truly powerful understand that goodness is not merely a habit, but a lens through which to measure human character, a lens that reveals both the frailty and the resilience of the soul, and it is exhausting. It is lonely. It is often thankless, and yet those who endure it, those who pay the price knowingly, who act with awareness of the cost, they become something rare. They become untouchable in ways the naive cannot comprehend. Their virtue is no longer vulnerability. It is a shield. Their kindness is no longer a trap. It is a tool. Their patience is no longer submission. It is strategy. The cost of goodness transforms into power when it is embraced consciously, when it is wielded with knowledge and courage, rather than fear or naivety. Most people never see this transformation. They imagine that virtue is softness, and when the world punishes them, they break. They cry injustice, they seek sympathy, they mourn the unfairness of life. But the truly awakened know that injustice is inevitable, that life is indifferent, that people act from self-interest, and that morality is neither a shield nor a reward unless it is consciously chosen, guarded, and deployed. Machiavelli would say, "To endure, one must understand the machinery of human desire, the cost of actions and the invisible toll that every choice extracts. Only then does goodness become not a weakness, but a quiet, enduring strength. And there is a final, most unsettling truth. Even the strongest, most deliberate goodness carries a cost that cannot be fully paid. There are debts that time, betrayal, and circumstance will exact, no matter how careful you are. You will be misunderstood. You will be exploited. You will witness cruelty inflicted on those who do not deserve it. And still, if you choose to remain good, you pay those costs willingly. Because goodness is not a transaction, it is a declaration. A declaration that you will act with integrity even when the world offers nothing in return. That is audacity. That is rebellion. That is courage. And so the shocking truth endures. Being good is expensive, more expensive than most are willing to admit. It exacts taxes on your patience, your energy, your freedom, your peace. It isolates you in a society that values cunning over compassion, efficiency over empathy, power over principle. But the cost is also the point. The cost is the measure of what is real. Goodness is not free because it must be chosen every day, in every act, in every encounter, and choosing it in the face of adversity. That is the ultimate mastery, the hidden truth Machiavelli would whisper if you were willing to listen. And then comes the slow, relentless test, the erosion of innocence. You start seeing the world as it is, not as you wish it were. People are not inherently good. They are hungry, fearful, ambitious, selfish. They will smile, they will praise, they will beg for trust, and then take it, bend it, discard it when convenient. Every act of kindness becomes a gamble. Every word spoken in honesty carries the risk of manipulation. Every boundary set can be ignored or tested. The world does not reward those who give blindly. It exploits them again and again, until what was once natural becomes a calculated choice. And here Machiavelli's whisper echoes. To remain good, you must first become vigilant, awake, and almost unbearably aware. And yet, the paradox is exquisite. Because in this awareness, in this cold-eyed recognition of human nature, you begin to cultivate a form of power that the naive cannot imagine. It is not the power of domination, nor the power of wealth or influence. It is the power of discernment. You learn to see motives as clearly as actions. You learn to measure the cost of every act of generosity. You learn to understand not just what people do, but why they do it, and how it affects you. And with that knowledge, goodness becomes something terrifyingly potent, deliberate, guarded, and transformative. The world tests you at every turn. It presents dilemmas disguised as choices. Speak the truth and risk humiliation. Remain silent and risk betrayal. Forgive and risk repetition. Retaliate and risk regret. And each choice leaves a mark. Every act of virtue exacts a toll on your energy, your freedom, your heart. Yet those who endure, those who persist in deliberate goodness, discover a subtle mastery. They are the ones who act morally, not because morality shields them, but because they are strong enough to pay its cost. They are conscious architects of virtue, and therein lies their quiet power. But the price never disappears. Even mastery carries burdens. Every act of kindness is a ledger entry. Every choice to forgive, to uphold integrity, to act with patience, is a debt that compounds over a lifetime. You may be misunderstood, exploited, or isolated. You may watch those who act without conscience rise above you in material or social reward. And yet the truly aware recognize this as part of the calculus, part of the invisible architecture of reality. Machiavelli would call it necessity. the recognition that morality carries inherent costs, and that surviving with your soul intact requires conscious payment. Most people never reach this understanding. They are consumed by naive expectations that fairness exists, that virtue is protected, that goodness will be reciprocated. They fail to see that the world is indifferent and sometimes cruel, that people act according to interest, fear, and desire, and that morality alone does not safeguard you. They are gentle, kind, and eventually broken, victims of their own unguarded virtue. And when they finally awaken to the truth, it is often too late. The cost has already been paid in unseen, cumulative ways, in exhaustion, regret, and lost opportunity. And yet for those who survive, who navigate the treacherous path deliberately, there is a profound revelation. The cost of goodness is also its power. When chosen consciously, virtue becomes a tool of agency rather than a trap. It is no longer weakness. It is command. To be good knowingly, to act with kindness while understanding the price, is to possess a rare form of sovereignty over oneself. The world may still be indifferent, cruel, or opportunistic, but your actions are intentional, not compelled. You are free in ways those who act blindly cannot comprehend. And here is the deepest, most uncomfortable truth. This freedom, this sovereignty of deliberate goodness, requires courage. It demands that you endure isolation, skepticism, and misunderstanding. It demands that you resist shortcuts, that you avoid the easy cruelty, that you maintain patience and integrity when every instinct cries for retaliation or expedience. It is lonely. It is draining. It is often thankless, and yet it is the only way to retain both humanity and power, both morality and self-possession, in a world that relentlessly tests them. The shocking cost of goodness is not merely suffering, it is relentless vigilance. It is the unending calculation of how much to give, how much to withhold, how much to protect, and when to act. It is the recognition that even the noblest act may be exploited, even the most sincere intention may be misunderstood. And it is the conscious decision, despite all this, to remain upright, compassionate, and deliberate, to pay the price knowingly, without illusion, without naive hope of reward. And those who achieve this understanding, who walk the world aware of the cost but unbroken by it, they are the rare few who embody the hidden truth Machiavelli whispered through centuries. That virtue is not a shield, not a guarantee, not a free gift. Virtue is a deliberate strategy, a mastery of self, a conscious negotiation with the indifference of reality. And in mastering it, you are no longer prey to circumstance, no longer defined by the exploitation of the naive, no longer subject to the whims of others' ambitions. You become in the quietest, most profound sense sovereign. And finally you come to the last, most harrowing truth. The cost of goodness never truly ends. It is not a debt you can pay off and forget. It is a companion, a shadow, a weight you carry knowingly, deliberately, consciously for the rest of your life. Each act of kindness, each deliberate choice of integrity, each measured patience, they all add to the ledger, visible only to yourself. You may be misunderstood. You may be ridiculed. You may watch others seize wealth, influence, or comfort by ignoring the cost that you willingly bear. And yet this is precisely where the true power lies. Because by paying it consciously, by choosing virtue in full awareness of its price, you become untouchable in ways that those who act blindly can never comprehend. The world will continue to test you. It will continue to exploit, betray, and challenge your moral compass. Friends will disappoint you. Lovers will manipulate you, systems will favor the ruthless, and the innocent may fall. But those who endure, who wield goodness with the sharp clarity of awareness, are not vulnerable. They are deliberate. They are sovereign. They are free in ways that wealth, influence, and power alone cannot grant. Machiavelli would call it mastery. Mastery not over others, but over yourself. Over fear, over impulse, over the seduction of expedience. In this, goodness ceases to be naive. It becomes formidable. It becomes strategy. It becomes power. And the cruelest, most ironic truth of all, this power is invisible. It is quiet. It does not announce itself. It does not demand recognition. It does not yield applause. Those who act without awareness may rise quickly, appear triumphant, and bask in accolades, but they are fragile. Their victories are temporary. Their moral debts accumulate unseen until the weight of exploitation, betrayal, or poor choices finally crushes them. The conscious, deliberate good, the one who understands the cost and pays it with awareness, is slow, silent, and enduring. Their victories are measured not in applause, but in freedom, in clarity, in the rare knowledge that they have navigated the darkness without surrendering themselves. And so, the shocking cost of goodness is also its ultimate reward. It demands courage, awareness, patience, and vigilance. It isolates, it tests, it punishes, and yet in enduring it, in choosing it deliberately, you rise above the naive, above the exploited, above the indifferent chaos of the world. Machiavelli would say that the wise ruler learns when not to be good and when goodness can serve his power. But the hidden truth for those willing to listen more deeply is that the truly powerful are those who choose goodness despite the cost, who endure it consciously, and who transform it into a quiet, enduring mastery of self and circumstance. To be good in such a world is not innocence. It is not weakness. It is audacious, deliberate, conscious, and unyielding. It is choosing morality as a weapon and a shield, understanding every price, paying it willingly, and refusing to be broken by it. That is the lesson Machiavelli hid in plain sight. Virtue is expensive, virtue is dangerous, virtue is perilous, and yet it is also sovereign. It is freedom. It is control. It is the only power the indifferent world cannot take from you. So, if you are willing to see the truth, to endure the cost, to act with awareness in a world that tests every ounce of your morality, then you will understand the real price of being good. You will see that it is not for everyone. Most will falter, most will pay unknowingly, most will surrender. But if you persist, if you choose deliberately, if you endure consciously, you will find a rare kind of mastery, a quiet sovereignty that no cruelty, no betrayal, and no exploitation can ever fully take. And in that mastery, you will finally see the hidden, brutal, exquisite truth of goodness, that it is both the greatest cost and the ultimate power a human can possess.